morning, everyone. Thanks so much for coming to 100 Families today and inside Every Arkansan. I have asked the founder and CEO of Every Arkansan, Drew Davis, to start us in prayer, please.
Let's bow our heads. Lord, we love you and we thank you for this opportunity to be here together, Lord, to seek solutions. We know you care for your children. We know that Dante and Niquela that we lost this weekend, Lord, are your babies, and we've got to do better as a group to fight for the lives of every young child that is bound for the grave or bound for prison, Lord. We've got to become the guardrails to protect them from those outcomes, Lord. I pray, Lord, that we will seek solutions and seek your wisdom in all that we do, and that you will bless each and every one of us as we go through this process today and we walk out of here, Lord, taking action in your name and for your kingdom and for your children. In your name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Drew. I'm Deanna Walderns. I am the North Pulaski coordinator for 100 Families, and LaShawna fills in for me. We have two sides to Pulaski County. This is LaShawna Bruce. I'll let you say hi.
Hey, again. Pulaski County, South Side, 100 Families.
Love it. Together, we are serving families here in Pulaski County. I'm going to start this one out a little bit differently. When we initially signed up to create a community-wide youth violence prevention approach, it was a conversation that had been had at our last two meetings. As many of you may remember, our first one was to discuss youth violence in our community at large. Our second one was the effects of poverty on our education system and how we could go backwards and what we needed to do to go further back to help our kids where they were. After the last Alliance meeting, I had the ability to sit down and with Casey Beard, who agreed to just come and sit down with me because it was enough of a problem. We needed to come up with a solution for our community. I had shared a story at that time with her of a family and of kids I had the wonderful opportunity since I have been here to play with during the week through our outreach programs, and to also visit with and start making relationship with their family. There were 3 children in that home, and there's also an older brother. And in that, we've had experiences. They would come because they hadn't slept for nights upon nights. And they would talk about nightmares and being afraid. We also had found out that very recently their mother had been attacked by domestic violence of a person that she knew. And these were the reasons that the kids didn't feel safe enough to even sleep at night. Fast forward a little bit of time, they were my why every day. I don't know if you can see this. This is a bullet from drive-by shootings that occurred outside our office. Youth violence is here. In this family, there's a 7-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 13-year-old that this house has learned to love well, as well as also another family member who's part of a different family, but they're still related. They were cousins. And the more we played football, And we got up every day, and I would walk out on Wednesdays and Fridays and get terrific hugs. We would sit down in here and talk about why they couldn't sleep at night, why they felt scared. It came down to the violence that was going on in their neighborhood that they were experiencing every day. For us, youth violence many times is something that we see on the TV. It's not per se out our front door. Here it is, and that's a big part of the reason why Drew and countless others serve this community. And this past Sunday, 2 boys lost their lives that have been part of this place since they were young children. Niquelo and Deontay played football with many of our staff here. They grew up in the hugs and arms. So today hits a little harder when we just talked about a general problem of youth violence and statistics. Today's not about statistics, guys. Today's about them, because we've got to peel away the real problems in here. So today, let's make some solutions together. On each of your seats is a business card. You can feel free at any time throughout our meeting to text questions you have. We'll also have an open question time at the end of our visit. And so today is for the kids that aren't here anymore, and for the tears for the families who don't have their children for Christmas. And today is also for their little brothers, who one of them will be here and will celebrate his birthday, but he'll do so without his big brother. And so anyway, thank you guys. And so all of you'll come up. And actually, let's go ahead and take the time now, one, to both present the data, but also to explain why 100 Families is here.
Yeah, hi, I'm Paul Chapman. I work for an organization called Restore Hope, and we seek to equip communities with tools and resources to be able to collaborate on very complex, tough issues like the one that Deanna was just talking about youth violence, how to help families, and how to prevent more of the same, and maybe retribution in this case. And so, do we have some data? 100 Families is all about coming together as a community and helping 100 families at a time move from crisis to career. And that would include not only parents, but also their children that are in that family. And so in Pulaski County, we have alliances, and many of you all are serving clients together using a certain method, but also some software. And so 100 Families has 14 county alliances around the state. We're on the way next year, hopefully, to over 25. There are 25 counties in Arkansas that 75% of all of Arkansans live in. So to be able to network the state up, we're launching alliances in all of those counties, and then being able to hook you up with those other counties as families move from there to here, or from here to there, or are coming out of prison, have child welfare cases that's going to require, on average, it requires 7 different organizations to be able to help a family that's in that level of crisis move out of crisis into stability and hopefully onto career. Anyone want to guess? Or how about everyone try to guess? How many truck drivers do we need in Arkansas yesterday? Someone have a guess? Hey, by the way, truck driving, it pays pretty well. 100,000. Another guess. I feel like I'm so old. You can see all my white hair. You remember the old Price is Right? Going
150,000.
99,000. 150. Arkansas.
20,000.
20.
30,000.
No. Is it 5,000? There we go. We need about 5,000 in Arkansas. We need about 100,000 nationwide. We need truck drivers. How long does it take to become a truck driver? 4 weeks. 4 weeks. 4 weeks to become a truck driver. You can get a job within a month getting your truck driver's license. Right? If you don't mind leaving home on a regular basis and going out of state and staying on the road for about a month at a time, no joke, you can make 6 figures. A month of school. So the question then becomes, if we've got truck driving schools all across Arkansas, and we've got money in agencies that would help someone pay for that school, how in the world are we going to work together to be able to get someone their driver's license back? To be able to pass a drug test? To be able to get their kids in daycare and school and stable and into a safe location so that they could spend a month and going to school and then coming out. City of Little Rock will hire someone with a record if they need truck driving. I don't know about City of North Little Rock, but I bet that's the same. City of Maumelle too. I'll hire someone that's been down for a number of years because they need seating and need people to drive the trash trucks and other heavy equipment. They'll pay them full-time wage plus bennies. Okay, so the question then becomes, if we can pay for folks to go get truck driving license and it pays really well along with benefits, is how do we work together to get someone there in 6 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years, whatever that journey is for that individual, the opportunity is out there. So what we're doing now is, this is a picture of the Hope Hub software system, and it won't cost you a thing to use it. It is free to anyone in the state of Arkansas to use for free. It allows, okay, we'll walk and talk here. All right, all of these would be individual care team members, and so they could exist from different organizations, and allows you to be on one person's case and to collaborate and to communicate in a fully collaborative way. HIPAA, FERPA, COPA compliant. And it'll track outcomes. So if you provide one service and you're wondering, whatever happened to Paul Chapman? You know, he was kind of a pain in my rear end, but I was really hoping for him because he had kids. Didn't like him, his babies deserve better. Wonder what happened to him? You'll know. I provided this set of services and now I know what's happening, you know, so what? What happened to Paul as he's going on along? And so if you have not already signed up to be trained, where do they do that? Back there? Back there on that table. You can sign up to be trained and you can create your account and be on the Hope Up system. Doesn't cost you a thing, right? Other than a little bit of time communicating in a new way. I'm telling you, you old dinosaurs that are still, who's got a fax machine in your office? Come on. It's time to testify. We got pastors in the room and a baptismal. We can baptize you. Some of y'all still sending faxes. I mean, that is snail mail. I mean, it's just crazy how we are trying to help people around here. Some of y'all laughing, some of y'all are side-eyeing me, right? But this is a way that is going to allow you to communicate in a new way, and it'll make you much more efficient. The point being is the way forward is going to have to be, we're going to have to do this thing together. We cannot continue to do the exact same things that we were doing when you bought your fax machine and you thought it was cool technology. We can't work that way any longer. It's not working. I grew up in Little Rock. I remember banging in the rock coming. I remember thinking, I wonder what in the world, you know, we could ever do. And honestly, y'all, I've been a professional do-gooder for 17 years now, professionally trying to help people. I don't know that statistically, I don't know that we're any different. I'd be glad to have someone tell me different. We're going to have to change the way that we work together. We're going to have to collaborate. And once we do, and once we use some technology to figure out where it's really working, what the needs really are, and where the gaps are, then we can start to use this data-driven approach to address these issues But before we go and start new things, we've got to be able to take advantage of all the different ways that people, the passion, and the services that are already here. Okay? That's it. Thanks. Unless you tell me there's more.
I'm sure I'll pull you up soon. Would our panel mind coming up, and we will, let me introduce you. Come on up, guys. You're all good. Let me also.
Hello.
There we go. There we go, guys. Actually, I would love for you guys to be able to introduce yourselves and also what you are doing in our community right now regarding preventing youth violence in our community. So we're going to switch this up a little bit.
Since I'm a jump, I'll let it go first.
There we go. There we go.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for being here. My name is Casey Beard. I am a deputy prosecuting attorney here in the 6th Judicial District. I'm an extension of Will Jones. He's your elected official. He took office in January. And I've known Will for probably my whole practice, probably since I was licensed in, well, we don't have to talk about how many years I've been licensed, but I have been a public defender actually for 20 years until July the 10th when I started at the prosecutor's office. And have always been out in juvenile court. It was where I wanted to be. It's what I wanted to do. And so I have sat by literally thousands of kids for the last 20 years. And I'm part of the reason that they are constantly back out on the streets after getting in trouble and coming to juvenile court. I loved my job there, and I loved what I did, and I loved the relationships that I made with the kids. And it still was really, really hard to sit there and to watch my kids getting in trouble for killing my kids, and then to end up with adult charges, and then to have them come back into court and I couldn't represent one because they had harmed the other. And that happened over and over again in the last 20 years. We've had change of judges. We have new judges that took seat, I believe, in 2021. There's only 2 juvenile courts now, and our judges have drank the Kool-Aid for having the community heal our kids rather than jails heal our kids. And so they are back out in the community with not a lot of safeguards. And so Will came and approached me in, I guess, maybe May of last year and asked if I would come over and head up his juvenile division because they needed a juvenile division chief, and he wanted to be focused on, let me tell you this. So as attorney, we have ethical obligations that we have to follow. Prosecutors have additional rules that they have to follow. They're ministers of justice. We are supposed to watch out for the rights of the accused as well as that of the victims in our communities. And so I think he's the first prosecutor I've ever known to want to focus on both. He is hardcore in the courtroom. It's his passion. And prosecuting the bad guys, that's his passion. But he is allowing me to be his extension in the community to work on prevention and early intervention and something that I'm passionate about, which is our kids. And so that is what I do. And as far as what I'm doing in the community, I have been meeting a lot of people. I mean, I'm only my 4th or 5th month now working there, and I've been trying to meet people and try to do exactly what she said, which is collaborate. And we've made a lot of progress in a lot of areas. And I am trying to focus early on. We're trying to look into getting some just groups working together in the elementary schools, and I think we're going to start in Jacksonville. We've got some exciting stuff going on there, and so within time, I think that'll be revealed to everybody. But that's what I do.
Give it up for her. How y'all doing? Y'all didn't be in. How y'all doing? Good. Willie Davis is my name. My title happens to be Sergeant. I am a lifelong resident here of Little Rock, Arkansas, born and raised in a place called Granite Mountain, asphalt jungle. Single parent household, educated at Hall High School, college, University of Central Arkansas. I obtained a teaching degree there. Came home and got a master's degree in criminal justice, and I became a cop. That's not why I became a cop, but I ended up becoming a cop. Currently, I am employed by the Pleasant County Sheriff's Office. I I did 28 years of Little Rock PD. I retired, I think, in 2020. So I've been here going on 4 years. Running a program called the OK program. OK, not O-K-A-Y. OK, our kids. So there's a law enforcement-based mentoring program for black males. The program started in a place called Rancho Cordova, California. People in the city think that I started the program here in Little Rock back in 2007, but I didn't. So I don't take that responsibility. I take responsibility for running the program here locally. So after I retired, I engaged Sheriff Higgins, and he wanted to bring a program to the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office. So now I'm housed out at Mills High School, Mills Middle School with the OK Our Kids program and 2 other programs, a young age program, Young Age of the Future, and the elementary school program called BUILD, Boys United in Leadership Development. So those are 3 programs that I pretty much run in the county, and also supervise the school resource office at Pulaski County School District. So I do that. Engaging the community, young people, families are what I do, particularly the black male. And my chief concern is the mental health side of that, how violence impacts that, and what our young boys and girls are seeing in their communities. It's quite different over here in Pulaski County. I got a chance to see a lot of underserved neighborhoods and communities, and kids were different. That's not their fault, but they were. So my challenge every day is to encourage these guys and point them in the direction of a college or a trade school as opposed to a graveyard or a prison.
Hi, I'm Cale Thomas, and I'm the Bright Futures Coordinator for Jacksonville North Pulaski School District. That's a big fancy way for saying I do social work and counseling and provide wraparound services. So this is actually a new position for JMPSD, and my goal and my task and what we've been working on is providing services for our students in our district who may not have the most. We help provide a lot of wraparound services when it comes to expelled scholars, when it comes to people who are underserved. We are 100% free and reduced lunch district, and so every kid in our district qualifies for a lot of services based on that alone. And so our job, my job there, is just to build relationships to help start to repair some of those things that have happened in the community.
Hello, my name is Sandra Hawkins, and I am the Area Director for Pulaski County for Pulaski County. I have been with the agency for 23 years as a caseworker, as an adoption specialist, supervisor in the financial response unit, assessments, foster care. As of September this year, I took on the role as the area director. And what I do is I oversee all of the units in Pulaski County that deals with helping children and families, which include the assessment unit, our unit, protective services, and foster care. We have the TYS units, resource, adoptions, and health services. And I think it was January of this year the agency created a new position for someone to do more community work. And so that person is Teresa Bunch. She's not here today, but she has been working mainly with the North area to work with the schools and churches and find other organizations that we can connect our families to.
We'll have to share. So, this was originally opened for Casey and Sandra, and I don't necessarily need exact numbers, but what I'm asking for is, we know very often there's an intersection between juvenile justice and child welfare as we move forward. And so in Pulaski County, where is the majority of juvenile crime and child welfare services? What areas are more greatly impacted?
As far as the juvenile crime goes, we do track that now, and I think the program is called Right Tracks out of juvenile court. And the majority of all calls that come in, whether they end up in jail on a new arrest or cited out, are from the zip codes of 72204, 72209, and 72076. So Southwest, Little Rock, and Jacksonville. I don't have numbers for you as to how many of those calls come in, but as it relates to racial and ethnic disparity, those are brown-skinned communities. So the calls, every call that comes in, I say every, I don't like every and I don't like always, but almost all the calls that come in that are coming from those 3 zip codes are brown-skinned individuals. And so that is not where we can stop the racial and ethnic disparity of that. It is way before that at the community level. And so pouring into those 3 communities, focusing on those 3, wrapping around those 3 in a humane way to help build up and be a village together, in my opinion, and I'm sure in a lot of people's opinion as well, is the only way to solve those calls that then come in for juvenile crimes several years later when they're at the justice system. As far as how we intersect with child welfare, I mean, just that. If you make it to me in court in a citation or an arrest, there have probably been so many touches. Hopefully there have been touches, but there's probably been missed touches as well. Years and years before that, and all of that to me is child welfare. I mean, I think if there's a child or a family in need, the 2 generations in that home, if they're not poured into and helping to raise that child and raise that family and help those 2 generations that are in the home be successful and stable and have full bellies and good night's sleeps and all that, then they are probably going to end up in my system. And so that's where we intersect, is the fact that just all of our kids have needed that child welfare poured into them at some level way before they make it to the justice system.
Some of the things that she talked about that actually come in through calls, we don't have it at schools. It's straight in our faces. You're talking about bullying, you're talking about the social media things that the kids bring from the community to the school that we have to address. By way of mediation, oftentimes I prefer to do it that way as opposed to taking the police route, the arresting route, that kind of thing. So we see a lot of that in our schools. The challenge for me has been getting the educators, the administrators to understand what that looks like with our different roles in the schools, what we can and can't do, and how we approach what we do, how we see things, our lens. And that's been a challenge for me being in the schools. I get them to understand what that looks like. So that's important now. But in the OK program, we have the opportunity to do those home visits with those type of kids and see, and not just see if we smell marijuana, but how they're living, and appreciating the parents for allowing those guys us to serve their kids. And so that's important, because what we're doing then is we actually building relationships with them, because y'all know this. You know, the relationship between the police and black communities has been adversarial for years. That's just it. So us being able to go to these young girls' homes and sit down with the mom, usually it's the mother, explaining what our role are, what we do in this program in terms of our curriculum. So we talking about critical thinking skills, we talking about money management, family relationship building. So these young men, I taught these things in our curriculum every Saturday. And guess what? It's free. So, and we're feeding them, but it has to be continuous and consistent. If I believe and convinced that food business would decrease guns, I will be feeding them every day. But that's not the case. So we have to have the consistency and provide these boys with a space where they're loved, encouraged, and understood.
So for Pulaski County, for our highest intake for children, in North Little Rock, our North Little Rock area is considered Pulaski North, and so that's where most of our highest rate of children entering foster care, and a lot of our PS cases come from the North area.
Hey Sandra, how many offices do you have in Pulaski?
We have Pulaski South area, which is over like Martin Luther King area, General Barrow, up in that area. We have the Pulaski Jacksonville area, which services Jacksonville and Sherwood, and then we also have the Pulaski Southwest area.
Also, Kale, would you mind talking to us of what, out of many of these, it has been get there early, get there often. What are you seeing within the school system of many of the children, because you happen to be over one of those districts that is in some of that hard-hit area. And so I'm sure you're not surprised to also hear that North is one of those areas.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. We are in Jacksonville, the heart of it. We're spread out, all throughout. We have 7 schools in our district that's spread over Jacksonville. And so, we're trying to do the same thing within the schools, similar to what you're doing with Pulaski County. We're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to make sure that, they're in our care during school, but when they go home, what's happening? And that's what we're looking at. We're creating after school programs. We're trying to bring in different resources into our schools to make sure that we can have well-rounded students, so they can take what they've learned in school, not just academically, but also socially, and take it home and become more of a well-rounded individual as a whole. But we're trying to hit that early prevention as well. We have such a high percentage of scholars who are in the system, either child welfare or the juvenile system. And so we have such a high percentage that, we see turnover happen so fast with our teachers, with our paras, with everyone, because they get burnt out in that. So just trying to help as a whole in Jacksonville, because it is a need.
Can I say something? On the elementary level, I have an officer in biomedical, yes. Even though it's not the Preston County school, when I got to Preston County, there was an officer there, so I wanted him to stay there because my goal is to have SROs in every elementary school in the county. And so the BUILD program is actually in the elementary school in Jacksonville. And so it is for all boys, not just black boys, but all boys. So that's a real important program too, at that level, to start building those relationships and teaching showing these young boys how to conduct themselves in the classroom and in the community.
Jacksonville, the tornado hit wiped out a good bit of housing there in Jacksonville. What's the result of that?
So his question was, what has a tornado in Jacksonville resulted from? We have seen such a high rate of homelessness, and what we can classify as McKinney-Vento as homeless is families who are doubled up, tripled up. We've seen some who are quadrupled or more up than that. Our housing has kind of exploded. We have so much in our apartments and duplexes and different things like that. There's waiting lists for them. So we have such a high rate of homelessness, which leads to, getting into the system, both of them. And so trying to just recognize some of that and seeing what we can do to, right now we're trying to hit big on our after school program, because the longer we can keep them and educate them there, the more we can pour into them. I'm a firm believer in that one of the only ways to help negative behaviors is relationship. And so we're trying to build those stable relationships with these scholars when we have them, so that they know if Miss Jenny is looking for them when school is coming, they want to be there. And so the tornado has taken a drastic impact on the community and the atmosphere, what's going on in Jacksonville.
So I know that for each of you, when it comes to intervention, you guys are the first, you're the ground, you're on the ground, your boots on the ground. We do have interventions that are available, but what I have heard time after time after time is the need for preservation, the need to get there as soon as we can, to reach the families, to start building those relationships before they ever end up with you. And so as far as that, how can we reach families earlier and move from that mark of intervention, which you guys all do very well. You're there at that moment. But how can we move from intervention to preservation and getting there early?
Well, I would say that the more we can work with families so that they would know what resources are available, where they can go for help, before it gets to a situation where it is problem, or they're, you know, in juvenile court for something that happened. A lot of people don't know where to go, or they, like for DHS, people are sort of scared because they think we want to take the children. We want people to know that we are here to help, but we need to be where they can see us in a different light. So if we're involved in community organizations, community meetings, meeting with schools, talking to parents, letting them know how we can help them, then I think it can change how we work with families. Some parents don't know that they can come to the office and ask just for some assistance, just sometimes just sitting down, talking to a parent, referring them to certain places, giving them some information they didn't know, and they can take it from there. Some families may need a bit more, where we open support and service case, and we may make a referral for them and help them along the way. We move out, and they can keep going, because we have connected them with other communities.
May I ask her a question?
Absolutely.
Just shake it up a little bit and ask her
Bring it
something.
on.
So does the department have funds for, to prevent removal? Like if you hear something regarding a child in elementary school and the counselor is identifying them as a child that's already getting suspended, you know, in second grade or that sort of thing, and there must be something going on at home, they don't show up for school on time, things like that. Instead of having to always worry about a hotline report and an investigation and that sort of thing, is there a way that the school or the school counselor can contact someone within the department and have efforts poured into them in a prevention of removal type way?
We can. That's where Teresa Bunch, her role sort of is. She's been working with counselors like in the North Little Rock School District. She's actually had teachers call her, like counselors call and say, hey, can you come meet with this family? We have this situation going on. She met with the family, you know, they talked about some things that the mom could do, some services that, you know, mom could locate to help the family. So it just depends on what's going on, but they can call us if they have situations going on.
Like, what does call us mean? Is there a number?
Like they can call the office. They can call the DHS
Okay.
office instead of calling the hotline. Because sometimes it's not a neglect or abuse issue. It's just a person needs some help.
So they can call the front desk of an office and
Yes.
they can say, I'm calling to get some help without.
They can call and ask to speak to someone in Children and Family Services. And then from there, once they connect with the person, they can let them know what's going on. We can see what we can do to help. Sometimes we can refer families to 100 families. We don't need a case open for that. They may need to know where a food pantry is, or they need some food. We can, you know, contact the care portal. There's different things we can do to help families.
And does that create a case manager that's gonna follow them to see how successful those things have been?
It just depends. There may be some follow-up, but sometimes we may have to for the service case.
And does anybody like walk through any of that with them? Like, are there advocates at the department that are like, this family clearly needs these things and we're gonna put somebody with you to walk you through the application process or the follow through with any of that? Like, is there a coordinator of some sort that kind of takes that on?
It's not a coordinator, it's just a person that we may just assign to work with that family. So if it's a caseworker if the supervisor asks the caseworker to assist that family, then that would be the person that could call back if they have a question or something like that.
Thank you.
The question, my response would be relationships. Building relationships. Everything starts there. And communicate. My wife works for DHS. She comes home frustrated some days because the way one of the workers talk to a person they're trying to serve. And in arena law enforcement, y'all know how we do the community events. And when you get there, you see police officers standing over there by themselves, talking to themselves, not the community. It's all about relationships. In the OK program, we recruit the boys. We don't stand back and let them come to us. We talk to them. We want to know who they are. We want them to know who we are. We want to meet your parents. We want them to know who we are when you leave your child with us. So we have to communicate and talk about those things, and that's where everything starts. I wouldn't have a wife I'd talk to. If we have a relationship, it starts there. So we have to get to the point where we are able, and I don't care what they look like. You know, if you're uncomfortable talking to black folk, go talk to them. Make yourself comfortable. Because to get to where we're going to be comfortable, we have to be uncomfortable. I wouldn't be here if no one had said, hey, sorry, can you come talk to me? I'm here because of relationship. So we have to make that happen. We have to cultivate those. We can't stop doing that. Yeah, that's important.
I want to ask the audience, how many of you work within the North Pulaski, South Pulaski community? You know what? What I'm hearing is community and relationships. The whole point of everything that we do starts there. And so it's not always their job to step in first. It's ours. We have individuals come in every day to request just that information that you have been stating in allowing family advocates, which I don't use the word case manager only because everyone's scared they're going to take away their kids. But that's really hard for those who that's their title. And we need to equally be there for them as well. And so in 100 Families, our whole point is a community-wide approach. And in that, it is for the community, by the community. So who does 100 Families belong to? Every one of you in this room. Because you are the ones going in, making the relationships, making the friendships, and we can all work together to impact that community. Hey, Paul, would you mind helping describe what a community-wide approach can do inside of a community?
Yeah, I'll talk about an example when I got involved in this because I went to volunteer many years ago. Back in 2005, I went to volunteer inside of a prison. And I knew one guy in prison. That's how I kind of got in that. I tried very hard to make sure that I never went when I was in high school and college. But I didn't know anything really around prison. Started going in and meeting the guys and trying to help them get out and stay out, and then the ladies, and that's how I got involved for all these years, is actually getting to know people, good people, who in many cases had never really had a chance, and trying to help them navigate all the different troubles that they had and that they were dealing with to be able to get out and stay out and then pursue happiness. And so we first launched, we became aware of this approach, this 100 Families approach. There's some evidence-based underneath it called collective impact. And we were talking with the Governor Hutchinson, when he took office in 2015, because we were making grants and got to know a lot of really good people and supporting great programs, like the OK program, but seeing that we were going to have these collaboratives together, a collective impact collaborative. So we built the first one in Fort Smith, and Fort Smith had the highest percent of kids in foster care as a percentage of their kids. Still do, but it's been increasing for 5 years in a row. But Fort Smith, now 5 years after launching 100 Families, and the way that they partner, they still have all kinds of problems, as Little Rock does, as every community does. But the way they address the problems are wildly different, and the outcomes are wildly different. And so their crime has gone down for 4 years in a row. Crime's down, juvenile crime's up, unfortunately. We think that's a result of the high percent of children that were in foster care and not going to school for a couple of years during the pandemic. Right, so they're seeing all crime down, juvenile crime's up in Fort Smith. But crime is down, incarceration in their jail is down a significant percent, over 30%. Foster care is down almost 40% overall in Sebastian County. So they're having these major population level changes. It's because of the way that the collaborative is happening amongst all the different people. And that's what we need here in Pulaski County. We've got different people here in Pulaski County, some of the same problems, but our crime, when they talk about juvenile crime in Fort Smith being higher, it's usually not the violent variety that we've been seeing here in Pulaski County for so long. Until yesterday. In Fort Smith, one kid shot 2 other kids yesterday, one died. Very Pulaski County-like. And it's starting to express itself there in the same way. But we have got to figure out, how we're going to partner together. Is it worth trying some new things and working in new ways so that we can actually start to change, 5, 10 years of effort, looking at data together, trying to support one another, trying to get each other money where the money is needed, trying to talk with our representatives and our senators and bring them in so that we can all collaborate to change the realities that are on the ground here. That's what we want with 100 families here. That's what we're praying for, that it would change the real trajectory of many of the families' lives. You should not be born into a zip code and then automatically be predetermined for a series. You should not be born in a zip code and have to play life on hard mode.
That's right.
And that's been going on for decades in some of our communities. We'd like to figure out how we can partner together to change that for families. Again, I don't know if that did what you wanted it to do. But
Absolutely. Because I did watch you guys saying the exact same thing. And so as far as how can the community, so how can everyone here and beyond collaborate with the schools, the courts, child welfare to strengthen our families, to prevent child welfare, to prevent juvenile justice? How can we do that?
One of the things that, even before I left Little Rock, as connecting with the OK program with one of the judges, truancy judge, he started allowing the young men that was truant in school he would have them come to the OK program. And they had to come for a certain time. They had to sign in. They had a probation officer report, but they would call me and see if they did that. So I thought that was pretty cool because these guys got a chance to talk about how important education is and why you should be in school. And so that was one of the things that I thought that was a good thing to do outside them feel like they've been sentenced to the OK program where you're allowed to come because it's voluntary. But when you do come, you're getting something. And what I found out that these young boys really enjoy being there because they saw a population of young men that looked like them that was being right. Being, not acting. If they acting, they working for free. Actors get paid. So we talk about being good, being nice, being kind. We put that in them. So the chance of them going back to the same behavior was usually slim sometimes. It didn't happen overnight. It was oven cookies, not microwave stuff. But we still able to do that. So I like that idea with the judge allowing me to do that, even in the Pulaski County now.
I think post-COVID, we have this thing called compassion fatigue. If you're not familiar with what that is, people are tired of giving. We helped our neighbors, we donated things, we gave money, we gave all of our time, our talent, our treasure during this time, and people are tired. And so we're seeing this rise in our juvenile justice and our child welfare systems going up, and we need people. The resources are there, but it takes more than us and us in this room to make change happen. We have to have stable relationships. We have to have the community coming in, not just in the neighborhoods, but into our schools, into programs, into different things to help us build those relationships. There's 7 schools in Jacksonville? We have 7 principals. They need more than one relationship at a school. Of course, there's teachers that also have those relationships, but we need community members coming in showing this is the way you act, this is the way you talk, this is the way, this is how you live. And we need people. We've got funds, we've got resources, we need the people to help back it. That's how the community can help.
Speaking of which, do you have a Bright Futures Facebook page for people to follow?
Hold on, here I go. I'm gonna give you this mic. If you guys have any questions, just be like, and I'll come with the mic. Press this
We
button
don't.
right
We're
here.
working with Bright. So I'm
That's the question.
about 3 months new to
I've
Bright
been asked
Futures.
to ask the question again. I asked if you had a Bright Futures Facebook page for people to follow.
So we're working with Bright Futures to get that up and going. It takes a little leeway time. And I got on the ground and they said, make it happen. So I've been working with Bright Futures to get that up and going. But that's what Bright Futures is to make sure the community comes in and partners with the schools. As you all know, jobs get a lot more than just that, than the job title. You wouldn't be sitting in this room if it didn't. But that we're up and working with Bright Futures to get that going.
So until then, can they follow Bright Futures Arkansas Facebook page?
Yes.
Please get on there and like, follow, and share Bright Futures Arkansas Facebook page.
Oh, can I still say something about that one?
Please do.
Don't let it get to the courts. The question was something about what can we do to partner. We don't want it in the courts. No one wants their life in the courts. We want to solve it long before the court has to step in. You don't want the courts involved in your life with your kids. You don't want the courts involved in your life because you've picked up charges. And so the community and the relations have to go at the earliest possible touches, wrap around, stick there, and never make it to the courts. It is a brainstorming, sit down, pull together partners before you have to resort to the courts, because the courts do not heal people. Courts and jails do not heal people. The community and the relation does. So if you have to bite off a small bite, like if we are going to try to focus on something in Jacksonville, we're starting with one elementary school and we're going to hopefully identify families early. They may have older kids in there, but we're going to try to wrap around with a ton of resources. We're going to all get into one room together and figure out when we see a need, who can help with that need. And 100 Families is going to be involved in that so that they are our center hub for those referrals out. But we're going to put the people in the room that have access to the different resources, saying, if we have a family that needs this, if we have a family that needs that, what are we going to do? And then my hope, and I hope I'm not let down by that, but my hope would be that then that team sticks with them and tracks them and is there anytime that things get rough again, or because resilience, y'all, we need to build resilience, and people are going to have bad days, people are going to have bad months, there's going to be a loss of a job and the need to make it 2 weeks till another paycheck. There's going to be things like that, and there's got to be a networking of the community in that small spot that can jump in and help with that. And it can't be silos of information. It can't be like, I can help once in a while here and I can help once in a while there. And I also think that if you have that little team working with people, they still need a community person that helps them live life and do things on a daily basis. Somebody they trust, somebody that's, and I know I'm talking a lot right now, but I was going to tell about one story real quick. There was Deanna helped us, she assessed a girl to start working with in Jacksonville, and I believe she's a sister who's an adult that's raising, I think 4 children that are her younger siblings. And I think to some extent DHS recognizes her as somebody that can receive some benefits. She has a job, making what I'm assuming is minimum wage. Y'all, Deanna assessed her with this being the list of needs. She has an incredible heart. She needs birth certificates, social security cards for all the kids, she needs to get a driver's license, she needs a new employment, she needs guardianship, power of attorney for all 3 of the siblings, W-2 and tax returns from 2022 and 23 and 21 if possible, housing improvements, new housing options. When the lease runs out February the 24th, her rent's gonna go up. That's because she's making some money now. So then you suddenly have to pay $700 a month. And so then what's gonna happen? Do you need another job to pay for that because you're gonna lose your benefits that help you survive there? And then who's gonna watch the kids? So then you have, she needs to get her GED. She needs to get a CNA license. She is talking to the mother of a godson who's been with her since he was 6. So now she has a 3-month-old in the home. Help them get reunited with his mother. She needs to sign up for WIC for the 3-year-old. She's going to levelize billing for her electric bill and bill pay assistance. She needs to help getting 18-year-old brother stabilized in an apartment in college. Y'all, I have a whole other screenshot of it. So I am a mother of one 15-year-old, and I keep a job, and that is overwhelming to me. And I have a high level of education. I have a lot of executive function skills, and I could not imagine biting that off. So it isn't like Deanna can't give her that list and think she's ever going to accomplish that
No way.
without a team wrapping around her. So we need that team everywhere.
Absolutely. This is a little off kilter. I want everyone who's affiliated with Restore Hope, whether that's a family advocate, etc., to just stand up for a moment. How many of you have made relationships with a family? How many got there early? How many won't quit? Because the next day, what she also needed was her electric got shut off. You want to know what she needed? She needed $166. And there was no funding anywhere. You know what you do? Sometimes you just pay $166. So we're going to open up this room for questions. But before we do, I have a really big ask. At your seats, I need you to 2 parts. 1, this is our declaration. It says, I'm in. I won't read it now for time. However, I need every member of the community to join us, because it's not enough to wait until they're in front of someone, in front of our courts, in front of DCFS. It has to be our problem. It has to be, and I know there's so many of you that are out there working in our community already, but are feeling that compassion fatigue. But our kids, they still need help. Because no matter how tired we are, we got to get up one more time and do it one more time. Because they need people in their lives that are going to get there. They're going to get there early, and they're going to be the relationships and community around them. This is your first step. I need you to join in to this alliance here. You can scan the QR code right there and join instantly. Hands all over this room already said you're already working in Pulaski County. So please join both the North and South Pulaski County Alliance. If you're working in other areas, you can do that as well. But number 2, I also want to ask you, there's a card sitting in every one of your chairs. If you are someone who's already in our community and wants to talk more on getting there early, building relationships, maybe you have a mentorship organization and you help kids. Maybe you have help with utility assistance. Anywhere you are, we need you. Maybe you're a counselor and can help overcome trauma that these kids get to see every single day. That's normal for them. So I want you to also reach out via email. And in January, we're going to begin a community-wide action committee. Whoever shows up, that's what we're going to start with. But we're going to grow it to something bigger, because this is our community. These are our children. These are our families. And although we're tired, because I know everyone in this room is real tired, we're going to get up and we're going to stand up one more time, and we're not going to quit. We're going to show up every day so that 7-year-old little boy who grew up here doesn't end up the 13 and 14-year-old boy that is then murdered. This is where we start. So I do also, I want to open up the floor for questions or comments, etc.
Hello, you guys. This isn't really a question. It's more of a comment. I just want to say to everyone in the room, I am a 100 Families case manager. And if any of you guys in your course of serving the community come into contact with a family or a mother or father that you feel needs an intervention effort, please feel free to contact Ms. Deanna Waldrons or Ms. LaShawna Bruce, and we will serve that family that day or as soon as possible. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, thank you.
So for all the panelists, have every last one of you all completed their point of connection training in Hope Hub? Are you all able to be tagged to a family if needed?
So I'll answer because I have a mic in my hand. I really can't be. I'm a prosecutor, and so it's a little bit of a discouragement, I think, to a lot of families to have somebody like me involved in it. And so no, and I won't become one of those, but I do try to help find people that are willing to. Like, we're trying to identify some in Jacksonville to get in the schools to get trained so that they can do that for their own schools, and then working with the case managers, but I won't be able to ever do that.
Okay, okay. Can I do that? Yes. I don't know. I mean, I'm no problem with it. Down, like Profet Ty. I do want to say about collaboration also. When I got here, Harris Elementary School is in North Little Rock, and I spent some time over there, so I just initiated last month my junior deputy club for the elementary school kids. So I'll be doing that every third Friday of the month, just kind of connecting with those families. Yeah, and so I think that was important because I didn't like what I saw in that school. And there was an apartment complex down the road that was having issues. I visited there. I just put my truck up there and put some pieces on my trunk, and they came out. And so I just gave them pizza. I didn't tell them who I was, and my mom wants some pizza. Tell her come get it. So I met her. But you have to be innovative, and this is hard work, but it's hard work. And so that's important. And these take special people to do this work. Everybody not doing it. I mean, let's be honest. And I don't want everybody to mess around my kids. If you ain't ready for them, you'll mess them up. But that's important to me. I just had to say that.
Oh,
I think he's gonna get trained.
Okay.
And then I bet somebody at DHS is, but it's not gonna be her.
He wants me to tell you who I am. My name is Kimberly Keybell. I am the Assistant Director for the Division of Youth Services. I decided to speak because I went to sign the I'm here involved situation, and DYS was not listed. That's a problem for me as a clinician and a social worker who has been in the community forever doing community social work. We do need to get there early, and we do need to stay long, and it is hard work. I want to speak for the kids that y'all didn't catch early. They come to us, and I don't want us to forget about those kids, because what we see in DYS is what you all missed, and we want to help you with that. We want to help you to get there early. We want to help you to stay. We want to tell you what you need to look for and how you can help. So I would want the conversation to also include those kids that are already in the system, because they have to also go home. And that's part of the problem that we have, is that we quote unquote fix them.
Right.
Term loosely. But we have kids that we know that go home. I tell the story, my boss is sitting behind me. I asked him, could I talk? And he was like, yes. We sent a kid home who had come to us for the third time, who had that last time, and I also worked for our provider prior to coming to DYS. So I see both sides of this. This kid did amazing that last time. Now, it took me kind of threatening his life a few times to do that. Because when you have a relationship, you can say things that other people can't say. You have to build the relationship. They have to know you care. Point blank, period. Once we did that, we sent him home. We told the judge, listen, new kid, better kid, you don't even know this kid. Best kid, I kid you not. And he was. And he went home, and he and mom had problems, which is why he kept coming back into custody. And so we said to him, whatever you do, just don't put your hands on your mom. Don't do that. He didn't. He left home, and he didn't want to go back home. So when he got picked up and brought back to court, the judge said, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to save your life. But I feel like the only way to save your life is to send you back to DYS. And my kid said, you want to save my life. Don't send me back to DYS, but stop sending me home. He did what we asked him to do. He did put his hands on him. In his mind, he did the right thing. So you have to involve DYS. You have to involve us in the conversation.
Good.
You have to.
Well, while you have the mic, will you also speak to whether or not there are currently any services? I talked about the 2 generations, right? They're going to go back into that home. So is there anything that's mandated or required for your program, or that the courts are requiring for the family that they're about to return to while the kid's gone, to provide relief?
There's not anything that's mandated per se, unless the judge has ordered something different. We do now have intensive in-home services, which is a wonderful, wonderful program that I'm sure some of you are aware of, because DCFS used it prior to DYS. My boss, who I like most days, but he thinks like I do in terms of thinking outside of the box. Clearly what we've been doing is not working, and when I interviewed with him, that's one of the things that I said. What we're doing clearly is not working, because we got a bunch of kids right now. So he talked with DCFS, and intensive in-home services have been brought on board. That's a service that goes into the home 2 to 3 times a week, as you all are aware. They use a family-centered treatment program, uses intercept models. Some judges will order that, but it is a voluntary program. So you have families, and please understand that all of the kids that come to us, our kids don't come here bad, y'all. Let's be very clear. Something went wrong in the home.
Good.
That's not to say that all parents are horrible either. Like Ms. Beard said, some of our parents are doing the best they can with the tools they have. And we can't hold them punitive for doing the best they can with the tools they have. And some of them have tools they don't know how to use.
That's right.
Good.
So, judges are ordering it sometimes, but sometimes you come in my house, I don't want y'all in my house no more. So last time I was in my house, I lost some kids.
Right.
The last time I was in my house, somebody got locked up. So it's hard for us to say, hey, let us help you. It has to look like partnership. It has to. So we do have something. We have an incident home. We do have aftercare services, and aftercare for that kid is court ordered. However, a lot of times the family doesn't have to participate, but sometimes aftercare, which is court ordered, is more work for mom, because you got to get him to treatment, you got to get him to group, and sometimes transportation, as we know, is an issue, and I got to go to work, and I can't miss no more days.
And it's my understanding that Medicaid, our kids in the past are going to start paying for the intensive in-home services 90 days before release, so that they can start. Oh, hi, hey. I like your boss most days too.
Yeah, you're starting to get the money, so she handed me the microphone.
Yep.
I know that's the plan. I don't know how long that will take, but we're looking to expand coverage.
Which would mean that those services for the older generation in the home could start in-home 90 days before release, if that was approved and starts?
So if it's a new source of payment such as Medicaid or the passes start paying for this, we only have about 120 slots for the whole state right now. So it's kind of limited. But if they were to pay for it, it would be a behavioral health medical service. So if a child had a diagnosis, which Kim can tell you 90% of the kids in DYS custody have some type of BH diagnosis.
So you're still just working underneath the beds that y'all,
We still just have the
slots that you
120
have.
slots.
Okay.
We're having weekly meetings to talk about additional funding that we might be able to tap into. And there are efforts going on in other divisions to try to expand that.
Okay.
But yeah, the ultimate goal would be, instead of me having to use those limited slots, and the only way we allow it is they have to have some sort of juvenile delinquency issue. I would like it to be eventually where I don't even have to be involved. You call up the provider, they come out and assess the child and decide whether they need these services and can help with it. So that's the ultimate goal, Casey.
I agree, that's the ultimate goal.
Absolutely. And you're right, you're missing. There's a lot of people missing in Pulaski County. I wish population-wise, our alliance is not huge, and there's a problem with that. And that's why we need each and every one of you. There are also on the back table, there is a list in which you can tell me who's missing. Because as you can tell, I'm not afraid to go after someone as well, to bring them to the table. Ask those who have been lucky enough to get to work with me. But again, if we were able to get there before they got to you, 100 Families is completely voluntary. The family gets the services. They gets to know also how to utilize those services before there's a need for justice, before there's a need for DHS. And Sandra and I, so many around this room, we've gotten to work with together already. And we do so together. And so, any other?
I have a statement. But y'all, as I was just listening to everyone talk, here's the opportunity that we have in Pulaski County. Is I don't know of a time in which we've got sheriff's office, got prosecutor, got DCFS, we've got school districts, we've got DYS, we've got community providers, Montego, we've got recovery. It's like if we can't do it now, right? All that's left, we're not trying to convince authorities that collaboration and that we should do something different. Everyone's coming now, and if you showed up at the meeting, right, I'm assuming it's like, yeah, we've got to do something different. And so now's the time. Everyone's saying that collaboration is the thing. We just got to figure out what that looks like for us at this time.
There's only 20 kids. There's only 20 Pulaski County kids, 6 judicial district kids in their facilities right now. So you could literally put one 100 Families case manager on all of their kids to provide like a plan for release, and Paul could if he wanted to. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But seriously, I'm just saying that's a caseload. You know, like it is doable if there is a group to work around that. There's 20 of our kids. Like they have a lot more kids than that they're dealing with. But if we're here on 100 Families initiative, there's 20. They have 20 Pulaski County kids. That's doable.
But understand too that coming to DYS is not always a curse. A lot of times, because of the new being under new management, it's a blessing.
Right, and nor was I saying that anything, it's more about the release efforts, right? Like, I mean, that is a really good release effort hub to like wrap around the future needs of that kid that's gonna get released. And that lady just said, you can call this lady and this lady for any family that has a need. And so, I mean, I think that's a good group to work with.
I missed in my little monologue there. I miss City of Little Rock's here too. Every time too. Every time City of Little Rock's here.
Okay, so I guess my comment is more so for all of us, but definitely it's about being aware. Like even walking in the store, paying attention to not only children but families. And I assume, because we're all here, we're pretty faith-based, so we know how we're supposed to show love. And so in that, just because you're running in the store or going to work, even at work, you work with people that could be making what you think is good money on the outside, but inside they're broken. That's how we do prevention. And even moving away for many years and coming back, I'm a little disappointed in like our faith communities not being stronger. And I can fault maybe some of us, but every time you're out somewhere, whether it's not just Christmas, but ask for donations for 100 Families, keep some information. I mean, everybody screenshots, you have social media. Use that to tell people about 100 Families, even maybe that family you might think is in need or not sure and you don't want to offend them. Just say, oh my gosh, you should maybe volunteer, you know, throw it out there a different way and present it. But there is definitely like a room of resources here. And I know we're all heart people, as Willie said, So we need to work from the heart, like get out of ourselves. You know, we're here to serve. I do have the privilege of serving for the city of Little Rock. And in that, it is about someone calls for something, or I meet someone, and it starts with one thing, and at the end of it, I'm praying with them. And they're crying, and now I know what their real need is. But it took that minute for me even to maybe listen to some explicits or a complaint or whatever it is. But we have to take the time to do that. That's how we not get them to that, because that is not the solution. And I've worked with court systems. I've done all kinds of at-risk youth volunteering, work with CASA. I mean, anything from low end to high end, I've been there. So I think for us, we just need to be keenly aware, pay attention, pray, ask God every day to show you someone you can bless and help, and even in this. But even with the 20 families, I mean, maybe we need to come up with a quarterly or monthly work plan that somebody from each office comes. We put those 20 on the table and say, hey, can you help her get a driver's license? Hey, can you get this? Can you get that? And while we're sitting there, just do it. Like, that knocks it out, and even to be able to come to them and say, this is what you have to do. And now she's like, okay, breath of fresh air. There was a whole situation that happened that how me and Deanna met, that a 1-year-old died. A 1-year-old, where someone else was trying to take care of, just like the young lady, taking care of somebody else's children, went back home and the baby is gone. 1 year old. And so because of that, if we can get there before then that's going to make a difference in our communities, and definitely with the youth violence and everything, because talking to those young men, which surprisingly small as I am, kind of real brash and ballsy, as I would like to say. So they're more welcoming to me, but they also give me their heart. So I get to hug on them and love on them. So a lot of us can do that, but you have to present yourself as such. So I just think we need to pray about our presentation and then be open and willing to be a vessel to be used.
We have just a couple minutes left, and I know in this room, some of you were those children, you know, and well, it's okay. I got a big enough mouth. It's not about me right now. Some of you were those children.
We got a
We
question.
can't hear you. Oh, yeah.
I will make this real quick. I'm from a church, and I didn't know about this, so I'm just finding out about this. So I have a question with respect to, like, when you guys do intake, do you refer those families to churches where they can be small group and kids can be a part of ministries?
Absolutely. And that's it, is we want the ability to have you're who our kids need to be with. You're the first door.
The parents as well.
The parents as well.
Because then you're having kids for a couple hours and they're back home in this dysfunctional space for the rest of the time. So both of those generations need, and I mean, I'm sorry, the Holy Spirit is the only thing that really changes all right.
Absolutely.
So, but to be able to refer them where they can be in an environment where they're understanding what love looks like and what it means to parent a child well, and what it means to not have these types of conflicts between a parent and an adult. They need to understand that.
Absolutely. And the answer there is no, only because enough haven't joined the Alliance. Now, every single day in this house, we have the opportunity to have communication with 200 churches around the state. But every single day, I would love to just instantly be able to reach out to you when a family shows up in my office. Now, we do an assessment and an intake. What was that? I love that. I love that. And so, because yes, that's the answer. Because I cannot be everywhere at once. But you know what? You're there every week. And if I get you to be there every week, and you're there once a week, and you're there once a week, and we're all communicating together. And here's the beauty of how this works. Karen,
You guys got any questions on that side?
what we have the ability to do is when I have a family that is in your area, I can call you and I can add you to a care team. And I can say, hey, this family's in your area, would you reach out to them?
And I will.
That's beautiful. And I will, she said. Do you know how huge those words are?
Yes, so one of the questions on the assessment that Deanna and all those team members will do is do you have a support system? And so, and then they start listing out their supports, which could be a church, it could be friends, it could be family, and a lot of people don't have that. And so that is the door open right there where people can answer like, no, I don't have any of those things, but man, I used to have a church, you know, and then so if there is a church in the system and that's what they want connected with, we need more than you signing the declaration. We need you signing up for Hope Hub, because then what they do is they add you to the care team. It's HIPAA, FERPA, COPA compliant because the family decides who they want on their care team and who they don't. But bottom line, we'd love to share that and then give that information to you, because the more people in their lives, the better, just like Deanna said.
Just want to say, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to meet a cadre of talent here and individuals that have a heart's passion for families and particularly for kids. It's been stated earlier about silos that exist, and I think in this room that's essentially what we have. We have a lot of different groups and individuals who have a heart's passion for success in the lives of kids, but we don't understand how to truly collaborate, as Paul has mentioned. So I think we'd be remiss, it may be part of the plan, but I look forward to future sessions where we can actually sit down and talk about who we are, what we can do, how we can appropriately map ourselves, our solutions to those identified problems that exist today. My name is Freddie Scott. I represent the Arkansas Department of Education, specifically in the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education, and I look forward to doing our part.
Thank you. Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. How y'all doing? My name is Chaplain Tommy Bourgeois. I'm from the Arkansas Department of Correction, from the Maximum Security Unit. And so I get them if you don't. And they're coming in younger and younger. And they're all jacked up, traumatized. And so we really need to come together and prevent them from coming to me, because now we're seeing this recidivism, because if we don't change their minds and their hearts and their behaviors before they become a problem, now they get a life sentence. So let's work together. Amen.
I want to thank each of you for coming in this room today and being here, because each one of you are change makers. It starts here. It starts in this room. There is sign-up sheets for training to learn how to utilize this system coming up December 20th. Also, there will be an email coming out for everyone who has signed in today on digging deeper into this community action plan, because it's going to take all of the voices in this room to come together to make solutions together. And we're going to do it together. We have to. Thank you all.